Gently and slowly. As you breathe out, imagine your body is getting relaxed. So you can focus on your legs. Focus on your legs. Breathe in. As you breathe out, imagine your legs are getting relaxed. Calm and heavy. Totally relaxed. Breathe in again. As you breathe out, slowly, imagine your thighs are getting relaxed. They are getting heavy, dropping down and relaxed. Now imagine, breathe in, and imagine all the internal body parts are being relaxed. Now imagine your hands are getting relaxed as you breathe out. Now imagine your face, your eyes, as you breathe out, they are getting relaxed, calm. Now imagine your head, your brain, as you breathe out slowly, imagine it's getting relaxed, calm and peaceful. Breathe in and breathe out. For the next couple of minutes, as you breathe in and breathe out, keep your focus on the breath that is happening inside your nose. The air is going in, the air is going out. Just watch that air. Buddham saranam gacchami, dhammam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami. Please slowly open your eyes. Buddham Saranam Gacchami means I go under the refuge of Buddha. I go under the refuge of virtues, Dhamma. I go under the refuge of Sangha, of the organization, the Buddhist organization. Now we're going to learn about a legend. I'm sure all of you have heard of him and know a little bit of him. I have been fascinated by this person, totally. So it's a great pleasure for me to share this, whatever I know. Can somebody change these slides for me? Sure. So I should give you some disclaimers first, that I'm not an expert on Buddha. I'm not an expert of Buddhism. I'm not even a Buddhist. And the Buddha story has multiple versions. So what you hear from me today or learn might not match with what you have learned before or you will learn in the future. And of course, only Buddha can tell what he has said in the past and real and what he meant. So anybody else who says what Buddha said this or that, obviously going to get biased by personal views. So please keep that in mind when I say anything about Buddha. Let's go back a long, long time ago, 500 BC, 500 years before Christ. That was a very interesting time all over the world. By this time, our societies, the civilizations, progressed quite a lot. There were orders of the systems that the society was following, and there were hierarchies in these systems. Interestingly, all over the world at this time, there was a rebel against these systems. New thinkings, new ideas, new ideologies were coming up all over the place. I'm sure you've heard of the Greek philosophers around this time, the classical period, Confucius, Lao Tzu in China, the Old Testament prophets in Israel, and especially in India. There were a lot of thinkers, philosophers, rationalists, atheists, theists, religious people, yogis. They were all coming together, especially by the side of the Ganges River, the great Ganges River. And they were discussing and arguing about their ideas. Some thought that this world is always changing, everything is in a flux. Other people believed that all the changes that you see are all illusions, they are not real. Some people fought against the caste system that existed in India. Among all these thinkers, there was one person who has influenced the world perhaps more than the others, and that is the Buddha. So Buddha's story goes like this. He was born in an oligarchy, in a high caste system. His father was a leader, not a big king, but he was a man of power. And he lived in Lumbini, Kapilavastu, that's somewhere in modern-day Nepal. And the story goes that his mother had a dream, few months, 9 or 10 months before Buddha was born, that there was a white elephant. She saw that entered her body from the right side. And hearing this story, some priests tried to predict his future. Some of them said that this boy is going to be a great ruler, a great king. And some of them said this boy will be a saint, a monk, a person that will bring wisdom on this planet. So after that, Buddha was born, and his father wanted him not to become a monk, but he wanted him to become a ruler like him, with man of power, with a lot of wealth and ruling over all over India, if possible. So what he did is he kept him secluded from the outside world. He kept him in a palace, several palaces actually, with a lot of luxury, wealth, and all kind of amenities that was possible. So he grew up. Buddha, his name was not Buddha at that time, his name was Gautama or Siddhartha. And he lived like that. He had no connection with the outside world. He lived in luxury. When he was 16 years old, his father got him married to a beautiful woman. And he was very happy, in love with her. And they had a child as well, the little Rahula. This is how Siddhartha, the Gautama, lived. And when he was 29 years old, his life changed suddenly. What happened was that he somehow managed to get out of the palace. He requested his driver of the chariot to take him out on a ride. So when he went outside, for the first time in his life, he realized that there is suffering in the world. He saw an old man. He has never seen a really old man. He didn't know that this exists. Then he saw a diseased man, a man who is suffering from disease, severe diseases. Then he saw a dead corpse rotting. He did not know what death was. He did not know that everybody dies. He did not know that he will someday also die. He realized that for the first time. This terribly disturbed him. It put his world upside down. He did not know what is this suffering, why we suffer. And he was looking for an answer. Then on the fourth day, he saw an ascetic, a monk, who has given up everything in his life to look for some wisdom, some knowledge, some truth. That also impressed him a lot. Affected by this, Buddha decided to leave home. He lived all the luxuries, all the wealth, all the power, and the possibilities he had for this one quest. He was so disturbed by suffering of human being, he wanted to know the answer of suffering. What can we do? Why do we suffer? What can we do to remove suffering? How can we handle this? So to get the answer, there were many other people in India at that time, monks and saints, ascetics, wandering people. They were finding answers to many questions. So he joined one of them. He joined a teacher. He started learning asanas and meditation. And he was one of the best students. One day he became as good as the teacher. And the teacher said that, I cannot teach you anymore. Why don't you take my place and teach other students? Buddha was not satisfied by that. He wanted his answer. So he left him and joined another teacher. It was the same story again. He couldn't still find the answer to his question. Then he left these teachers, and at that time, there were a sect in India, the Samanic people, who were really extreme ascetics. What they were doing is they were really torturing their body. They realized that body is a hindrance, a distraction from understanding yourself, your inner knowledge and the wisdom. Body is rather a hindrance. So they somehow were trying to transcend the body by torturing it. So he joined them. He started eating much less. He quit his clothes, slept on nails, stood on one of his legs, all kind of things he did. And you can see in the picture, he was so thin, and he was at one point eating one rice a day to survive. And his rib cages were showing. His bones were as thin as bamboos. He was almost dead. This took 6 years of his life. He did all that, but he still could not get the answer. He was not satisfied. He didn't get the inner wisdom. By this time, Buddha realized that this was not the right path. Torturing your body, being so strict about yourself, is not the right path. So he thought about a balance between luxury and asceticism. His first life was full of luxury. Then he became an ascetic. He realized both these paths are wrong. You have to find a middle way, somewhere in the middle. So he decided. Famously, there is a famous story that one of the girls from the village came and offered some rice pudding. Rice pudding is one of the common dessert in India. She offered this rice pudding to the Buddha, and he accepted it. So this took him out of the path. He had some companions, 5 of them, that he was trying to get enlightened with. These companions left him one by one. They thought that Buddha has quit their path of being strict and ascetic. So they were discouraged and left him. So Buddha was alone, meditating. He really wanted his answer. That night, he went under meditation under a tree in Bodh Gaya, which is in India, in the east part of India now, a famous peepal tree. And he sat under that tree and he took a vow that I will not get up from this meditation unless I get enlightened, unless I get the answer of my question, the inner wisdom. And he meditated and meditated and meditated. And finally, he got the so-called enlightenment. He got some knowledge, some truth. He understood there are some inner truths behind the suffering. After he got enlightened, he decided to teach this to other people. He was still 35 years old. Then he started walking again, a wandering monk with his bare feet through the villages of India. He came wandering to the famous old city of Kashi, the Varanasi. I'm sure you've heard of this, holiest of the holy cities, and very old and historic, Varanasi. And there, near Varanasi in Sarnath, he gave his first sermon, his first teaching to the same 5 disciples, the same 5 companions. Now they became his disciples. So it's not so easy to summarize what Buddhism is, but he talked about 4 truths. These are the 4 truths that he taught. The first one is dukkha, or suffering. What it says is that our existence is full of suffering. Being born is suffering, aging is suffering, illness is suffering, death is suffering, union with what is displeasing is suffering, separation from what is pleasing is suffering, everything is suffering. We are designed to be suffering. And what is the source? He found out what is the source of this suffering. He realized the source of this suffering is not nothing outside, doesn't come from outside. It's our own desire, the clinging, the attachment, the covetousness, the greed. That's causing this suffering, mainly. Then he says, nirodha, or cessation, it can be faded. This clinging, this attachment can be taken under control. And for that, he showed the 8-fold path. There's the last truth. That path consists of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. From then on, Buddha started wandering all by walking. India is a really big country. At that time there was no India, of course. There was this vast land of people. He started walking from villages to villages, started teaching this. He did not require people to be a monk to get his teaching. Anybody could learn and apply his teachings. And he also built a sangha, an organization. People started joining him. They saw some truth in what he was saying, and more people started joining him. The Buddhist scriptures were written actually much later. When Buddha was around, there was no written language. People were learning that by heart, from the guru to the disciple. And these teachings were written hundreds of years later. Actually, there were some slides before. Did you miss them? Before that? Oh, okay. Go ahead then. Go ahead, Mom. Okay, thanks. There is one slide missing, I'll tell you about that. It's about Buddha's death. He lived a very long life of 80 years. When he was 8 years old, he knew that he was going to die. So he started walking toward north, where he was born. And he arrived at a very small village called Kushinagar, and he fell ill there. One of his disciples requested him that why are you dying here in this small village? You're a famous big person. You should die in a big city so that people can give a huge funeral, things like that. But Buddha said the small is fitting, and he died there. Right, sorry, this is good. So that was the Buddha story. But Buddha's story will remain probably incomplete without the mention of the Emperor Ashoka. I'm not sure whether you have heard of him. Ashoka was a great emperor about a couple of 100 years later than Buddha. The story of Ashoka is very interesting as well. He was a very cruel emperor, a king. And he wanted to build, and he did build, hell on earth, a torture chamber, where he was torturing people and oppressing and conquering. So the story goes like he attacked what is current day Orissa, and he attacked those people brutally and killed them. There was so much killing in that war, in that battle, that the color of the river became red. And in that war, he had a change of his heart. He repented. He realized war destroys everything. It doesn't bring anything at the end. He had a total change of his life. And then he adopted Buddhism. He got to know about Buddhism, about Buddha, and he liked his teaching. And he built his kingdom, he rebuilt it. Now this time based on passion, compassion, and helping other people and teaching them about peace and love. This was probably one of the first emperors in the world who actually built a whole kingdom and an empire based on compassion. And he also, in many different places in India, he built this stupa, these stones, where the teachings of Buddha were written, so that people could read them and learn from them. And this is the same Ashoka who actually also sent messengers to all over the world, to Europe, to Asia, everywhere. He sent these messages of Buddha so that it can spread. And thanks to him, actually, that Buddhism still exists, because hundreds of years later, history changed in India. At some point, Hinduism became dominant, and they drove off the Buddhism. Buddhism was almost disappeared from India. It came back later, but it survived because it went outside to Sri Lanka, to Burma, to Thailand, to China, to Japan. And now we see more than 400 million people who are Buddhist, thanks to Ashoka. So Ashoka, he took one of the Buddhist symbol, this wheel. He was taught by Buddha when he gave his first sermon, first lecture. It's called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, means keep the wheel of the Dhamma, or the virtue, to put it in under motion. That was the symbol of the Dharma. So Ashoka put that in all of his stone relics, and this was later, as you can see, was accepted in the flag of India. That originally comes from Buddha. And you can also see the Gerua color, the saffron color. That's the color of renunciation. So you can see Indian flag already talks a lot about spirituality. There is a lot in there. Okay, I have ended the talk about Buddha and Buddhism, but I will share a little bit. I hope that you learned something from it and enjoyed it. I hope some of you might be interested in exploring Buddhism or some of the ideas. I cannot tell what is the best class or course to take, but this is one I took myself. It's a 10-day course, and it's really This has been one of the greatest learning experience for me. This was really very different from other courses. In other courses, you learn from other people. In these 10 days, I actually learned from myself, the knowledge that is inside. It's a very interesting course. For 10 days, you don't speak, you don't read, you don't write, you don't call home. You live everything. You live like a monk's life, basically. If you have ever wondered to be a monk or wondered how is the life of a monk, this is a good preview of it. You can live that. And another good thing is that this is not commercial. If you take other meditation courses, it costs thousands of euros. The idea of this is very different. You take this course, 10 days, and at the end of the 10 days, you pay as much as you want. Depending on that money, next batch of people come. I think this is a good idea. And this is how yoga was, or meditation were taught in India. The gurus were not necessarily charging people. The students were coming, staying at his place, and they were doing some field works, other things in return for the teaching. Okay, so I highly recommend that. But there is one resource still here in Weimar. This is not about Buddhism, this is not focused on Buddhism, but 1.5 years ago I started this group, Free Yoga Weimar, where I and my good friend Sarah, I don't know whether she is here, no, not really, we are teaching yoga. It's also again for free, so I highly welcome you to join this group, Free Yoga Weimar, on Facebook. I will also keep some flyers there if you want to join the group, that will be great. Okay, now comes the food part. The food preparation is ongoing, you can see. There's a little community of Indians here, and I must thank all the people who cooked the food today. There's Akhil Bhai cooking dal. Dal is one of the most popular and common food in India. If you have not tried it, you must try it. It's very protein rich, very satisfying and tasty. These are our two head cooks, Prashant and Anwar. Anwar is not here, but anyway. We have cooked something special today. If you remember, in the Buddha story, there was this girl who offered Buddha a rice pudding. So we have cooked rice pudding for him. I must thank this guy. Because, you know, we are a bunch of Indians cooking, so, and some of them are coming fresh from India, so sometimes they don't know how much salt to put in, or how much chili. So thanks Fedor, we used him as a guinea pig to test that it's a Western person proof. Okay, namaskar everybody. Thank you. Do you have time for questions?
Yeah, there is some questions from the public. It could be amazing. No? No questions? Don't be shy.
Where is this workshop that you were showing?
Where is it?
Where is it?
Well, in the summer it's really nice to do the yoga outside, so we do it in the park. But in the winter we have a place, 21 Belvedere LA. It's very close to the university.
And the 10-day one?
You're talking about the Vipassana, okay. Right, that's a good point. Good that you asked this question, because I'm not asking you to go to India to take this course. Luckily, this course has expanded now outside India. It originally came from India. S.N. Goenka, he discovered this Buddhist technique in Thailand, I think if I'm not mistaken, or Burma, which, as I said, it went outside India, so it stayed more authentic in there. And he took it back to India, developed it. So in India, there is a lot of centers, but now it is all over the world. There is also a center in Germany. If you Google Vipassana, you'll find it. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it's all around the world and it's in all the languages. So you just go to the page and you can see all the offers, and it's in all the languages. Even here in Germany, they offer it in English and in German. Or in other places, I don't know, like in Spain, they offer in Spanish and in English. I mean, there is. The only thing is that if you want to do it, you really have to register in advance. So they open the course 3 months in advance of the date. And that day when they open, you have to be there. Because if not, obviously, because it's for free, I mean, the course is for free and then you pay, the demand is like a lot. So if you're interested, yeah, the recommendation is to see the page and you can find all the information there.
Great, thanks a lot, Maria.
Yeah. Any other question?
Excuse me, what page it is?
They just put Vipassana, so...
Right, you can show the slide again if somebody wants to write it down. Or you can always talk to us after.
So just look for 10-day Vipassana and then you will find it, yeah. Any other question? Yeah, there.
Yes. Actually, I had a historical question about the influences that Buddha has in the other countries or in the other regions, but are there also influences that he got from that region of the peninsula of India or Bangladesh or Tibet? For example, the Bon tradition in Tibet and so on. This is an example. I just want to know if he got some influences from those traditions which are older than...
If Buddha got influenced by other traditions.
Yes, because he influenced the whole region, as you say.
Right.
I want to know if he got
Yes.
some influences from the outside.
It's a very good question.
I just want to know about your perspective.
Right. It's a very good question. As I said, that when Buddha was alive, there was no written document. So everything was written a couple of hundreds years later. And by that time, things got included in Buddhism. So there is some controversy about what is authentic Buddhism, what is not. About the influence, there is a lot of controversies. For instance, the idea of karma. People believe that it actually came from Buddhism. But some other people believe that this idea of karma came from the Hindus and got into Buddhism. Also, there are different types of Buddhism. There is Theravada, there is Vajrayana, there is Mahayana. Depending on the Buddhism that was sent and grew in different countries, like Theravada came to Sri Lanka, that is considered one of the more authentic one. That is different than the other parts. In some types of Buddhism, other ideas got included in it. So it is really difficult to tell what actually Buddha said. And there are cross influences between Hinduism and Buddhism especially.
More questions?
Okay, seems like time for food.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Obaidur. Just a few announcements before we can go to the food part. Tonight, after Culture Talk at 10 p.m., we're going to have this karaoke night. It's the 5th version of the karaoke night, so you are more than welcome to stay here, to share with people, to sing, to have fun time, and I think the bar is going to be open, so stay after this. Also, for the people that it's new here, we have this tradition, let's say, just because the spot is not so big. So we ask you kindly, like, please make a single line here in this aisle. Then when you pick up the food, you keep going to the aisle that is next to the wall, so we can keep circulating and keep this space free, and you're more than welcome to take a seat on the back. And that's it, pretty much. Thank you so much.
Can I add something a little bit quickly? Just want to announce 4th of November, it's a Saturday. We're organizing Incredible India 3. Some of you have attended Incredible India 1 and 2, I'm guessing. It's a big Indian cultural festival. We will be here, right here in Project Irons. It will include a lot of activities like dances, talks about India, Bollywood dance, workshop and food, and it's all free. We'll try to put an invitation in Culture Talk, but you can also find it in Bauhaus Internationals. It's a Bauhaus Internationals event. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.